Then, in the past, Rishi Sunak has referred to eco-zealots writing Labour's energy policy. And I think when he said that, he was referring to my next guest, the founder of Ecotricity, Dale Vince, who's previously donated to the Labour Party and to Just Stop Oil. Dale, you heard the speech. I don't know if you heard the top of the show. I thought, in a sense, Rishi Sunak was looking at people like you and thinking, I can go for you. And unfortunately, he seems to have hit a big chunk of industry instead, or as well as. What's your overall reaction?
My overall reaction is disappointment, but not surprise. I think we've seen it coming for a few weeks now. The Tories have been, or at least Sunak and the Cabinet have been positioning themselves against the green agenda, the green economy. It began, though, with David Cameron 10 years ago when he banned onshore wind, tore up the policies for zero-carbon new homes. Those two policies have cost us billions of pounds already as taxpayers, as consumers. And I think this is a desperate attempt to get a toehold in the next election, because currently the Tories have nothing. I agree with John. If you look at what they've done in the last few years, everywhere you look, they've failed in terms of policy. But to set themselves against the green agenda, it's on a false narrative that we can't afford it, when actually the opposite is true. We can't afford not to do it, because green economic policies are the best for us in our economy. And the OBR said this just a couple of weeks ago.
But if you are a voter listening to what the Prime Minister's been saying, particularly a voter on a low to medium income, and he says, I'm going to save you tens of thousands of pounds by what I'm announcing, you're going to go for him, aren't you?
If you believe him, but what he's saying is not true. It's simply not true. The Climate Change Committee have pointed out that a 5-year delay in the implementation of the fossil fuel car ban will cost motorists £10 billion.
Well, these figures are very hard to work out, but what I do know is that at the moment, if you look at the cheapest electric vehicles available, they cost anything up to twice what the cheapest petrol cars are available. A lot of folk looking at that thinking, I'd really like an electric car. I'd like to go electric. I'm beginning to see charging points going around the country. I think I can do it. It's just too expensive.
Yeah, I think that's not correct. I don't think it is twice as much. Just on another show, people were talking about £30,000 for the entry-level electric car. The industry itself says that by 2030, the buying price will be at parity with fossil cars. The running cost is already several £1,000s a year lower. And so the industry are gearing up to make enough cars at price parity for when this ban was meant to come in. And remember, only 20% of car sales in our country are new. The 80% is second-hand, and people on low to middle incomes aren't buying new cars. This doesn't affect them. It does actually affect them because it reduced the amount of second-hand electric cars available in the market, and they're cheaper to run, so it's going to cost them more money.
And just help me with the boiler ban, because I hadn't realised there was actually a boiler ban. Is there a boiler ban?
I don't believe so. Or a meat tax, or a flying tax.
Yeah, there's a lot of straw men being knocked over tonight. You're obviously very involved with Just Stop Oil. We talked about it last time you were in. Are we going to see a ramping up of protests, do you think, on the environmental movement after tonight's speech?
It seems to me a lot of people in the country are angry. I've seen the reaction of Greenpeace and other environment groups. I don't know about Just Stop Oil. I'm not that close to them, actually. A lot of people are gobsmacked, I think, by what the Tories have done. And whether we see more protests or not, I don't know. But the biggest protest that we can make, the most effective one, is to vote in the next election for the greenest government on offer.
Somebody who has many of your views, but is completely on the other side of politics, is Zach Goldsmith, Lord Goldsmith. He called today for an early general election. Yeah. Do you think he's right? Is that what you'd like to see?
I do. I'd love to see it. I mean, Rishi Sunak is unelected. And he's making changes to laws passed by Parliament, the 2050 Net Zero Act. He's got no mandate for that. He's probably acting illegally, but he's unelected anyway. He should call an election and test himself in front of the British people.
You mentioned the word illegally there. Is there a chance, do you think, for some kind of formal legal challenge to this change of policy?
I've seen Lord Devon, former chair of the Climate Change
John Gummer,
Committee,
as he was.
I remember him as that. He said he believes so because 2050 is enshrined in UK law. It was passed by Parliament, and Rishi Sunak is circumventing Parliament. Even the announcement of it was undemocratic a day after Parliament went to recess.
Very, very interesting. So he would have to get votes through the Commons to do what he's saying tonight. And looking at the state of the Conservative Party, he might find that tricky.
I think you're right.
So there's a lot to keep watching. Thank you very much indeed, Dale Vince, for coming in. Now then, coming